Antlers, directed by Scott Cooper, who I'm not really a big fan of, to be honest. I mean, he's got some decent work out there, but nothing that's ever truly captured my attention personally. But, you know, who knows, maybe that changed here with Antlers, so stick around and we'll see. But the film stars Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, and Jeremy T. Thomas. Alright, so Antlers is about a young boy who's hiding a very dangerous secret that eventually becomes way too much for him to keep under wraps. And once that cat's out of the bag, all hell breaks loose in this small town in Oregon. So that was just my own custom logline for Antlers because I felt like the ones on Google give away way too much information about the film personally. So yeah, I just wanted to change that. So now to finally expand on my straight out of theater reaction with this official review for Antlers, I have to say that I stick by what I said. You know, Antlers is not a bad film, but I did have some major issues with the script, specifically when it came to just character motivations and really just the overall conclusion of the film. But before I get into what I didn't like, let's start off with what I enjoyed first. You know, so starting with the cinematography, this film is just impressively grim, eerie, and gorgeous all at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of creative and unconventional camera work throughout this film, and for a horror film, scenes are actually shot in very interesting ways. For example, you know, most horror films, or maybe just a lot of horror films, they do this thing where if there is a subject in the frame, they pan to the frame or they cut to the frame and you see something creepy in the frame. Then something happens and then they cut away or pan away. And then when you look back to that area, whatever was there is gone. The creature, the ghost, whatever it is, it disappeared. And that usually leaves the viewers to sort of ponder on, you know, what the hell happened? Like, where is it now? Where is it going to jump from next to try to scare me? Like, what's going to happen? But in Antlers, the scares tend to actually linger instead of cutting away once something scary is in the frame. They actually tend to slowly focus on the subject and then like ramp up the suspense and thrills from there, which was kind of refreshing to see. Like, instead of cutting away, you're focusing on the subject and then the camera just kind of lingers there and then it kind of sits there and just lets that moment marinate, which is a little bit creepier once you've seen it done in this movie. You're like, okay, like what the hell is this thing gonna do? Is it gonna run towards the screen? Is it gonna throw something? Like, what's about to happen here? Because this is different. So yeah, I actually like the fact that they just allowed the moments to intensify, and I thought that was pretty cool. I also really enjoyed Jeremy T. Thomas's performance in this film as well. He actually plays the little kid Lucas throughout the movie, and this little guy is creepy as hell in this movie. I mean, he 100% sells the vibe from the beginning of this film all the way through. And while watching the film, you can see that he's just traumatized and exhausted basically just throughout the whole movie. Once you see what he's been dealing with, you really can't blame him for, you know, feeling and acting the way he does, honestly. But the young actor Jeremy just killed this character portrayal as Lucas. Now for the major issues that I had with Antlers. The movie takes entirely too long to get to the point, and just to get to the more interesting moments that the audience actually wants to see, or rather, you know, the more interesting moments that I wanted to see. There's just a lot of build up, and I'm not sure if the payoff was worth the wait. Instead, we're getting fed these character expositions for characters we really don't care about, just so some sort of bond can be created between these characters, and the audience will then kind of understand why all of these later events take place, when this connection or bond that they tried to establish between these two people still wasn't enough to convince me that there was a real bond there. I mean, I know I'm speaking very vaguely here, so as a hint, I'll just say that one of the characters is trying to form a bond with the main kid Lucas, and it just didn't work for me. Then on top of that, there's lore that's provided within the movie so the characters can, you know, hopefully better deal with their situation later, and things just seem to fall into place way too easily for these characters. And then for me personally, there's the ending. But before I rant about that, I'll give you guys my rating first, and then, you know, get into spoilers for anyone who actually wants to stick around for that. So I'm giving Antlers a 7 out of 10. Like I said in my straight out of theater review, the movie isn't a bad film, and I definitely would say that it's worth a watch. There's just a lot of great aspects of this movie that makes it unique, you know, in a good way, that offers a new level of mystery for the horror genre. But there's some pacing issues, you know, some issues with the writing and the ending, which is a bit lackluster to say the least, that truly prevented this film from being one of the best horror movies of the year. But that's just my opinion, so please keep that in mind because you might feel very differently. Antlers releases October 29th 29th, which is next Friday. So now you guys, if you would like to, feel free to stick around to hear my thoughts regarding the end of the movie. And I will be getting into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, you might want to go ahead and get out of here unless you don't mind spoilers. Plus, I'm sure by the time I release this video, most people will not have seen the film yet, so yeah. Now to talk about this ending real quick. So we wrap things up with Julia and Paul going into the woods in a cave or tunnel somewhere to rescue Lucas from this mythological urban legend creature that his father has become. And Julia is able to kill this thing so damn easily that there's barely a struggle, which I had a huge issue with. I mean, people were struggling with the father before he completely transformed. And now that he's full-blown creature, somehow it's an even easier task for her to kill it simply because she knows what to do. Like, come on, fuck out of here. Like, just because she now has this information for the lore, I'm like, come on. So I felt like that made no sense that she was just able to defeat that thing basically alone. So I just wasn't feeling the ending for that reason. Plus, I had some major issues with the other aspects of the movie, like possibly, getting more details on the creature, even basically expanding a lot more on this bond that Julia had with Lucas, because I don't feel like that relationship that we witnessed in the film truly justified, the distance that she was willing to go to save Lucas. I mean, I really didn't feel that between them. And, sure, one could argue that she just really cared about this kid because it is a child, and of course any decent human being would try to save this kid. But I personally didn't feel like the way that they tried to explore their similarities before embarking into this sort of deeper bond to justify her going the distance to save Lucas later, I didn't really feel like that was earned, and I just wasn't convinced. But that's just my opinion, and if you disagree, remember that is completely okay. Movies are subjective, so it's okay to disagree with me. You don't have to get crazy. But like I said, there were just a lot of issues towards the end of the film, the conclusion, and with the script throughout the movie that I just was not pleased with. But there it is. So there you have it. And if you enjoyed the content, you know what to do. Thank you for watching.